Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello, this is Stacy reporting live over at Skull Rock. I am joined by...
Hello, this is Megan, and welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. We are super excited to be back today. What are we back from, Stacy?
Well, the listeners may notice that our voices sound a little happier, maybe angelic, and that is what happens when two superfans happen to meet another fellow angel, otherwise known as Joe Keery. We are back from EpicCon's epic Upside Down Con down in Jackson, Georgia. Woo!
And we are forever changed.
Yep.
So, like Stacey said, it finally happened. I actually listened to one of our very first episodes. I think it was maybe like the third or fourth episode called Always the Babysitter, which was back in January. And we talked all about Steve Harrington, Joe Keery, and it was just kind of surreal to listen to that episode this week, knowing that we finally met Joe Keery. Like, I think you called him like your unicorn.
He's my unicorn. I am now officially, guys, I've been going to cons since 2006. I've met everybody, and he was my unicorn because I was like, I'm never going to catch that unicorn. Like, that's never going to happen. So the fact that that's over, and the best way I describe the con, and especially Joe, we're going to get into it, but it was brief but memorable and glorious, much like when Four Loko had their original ingredients, if you know, 2010, where there was a lot of alcohol content and a lot of energy drink. That wasn't the case with us at this con, but it felt like it. It was a fleeting moment, but it's something Stacy will be talking about for the next 15 years, maybe even more.
What a metaphor there. What a metaphor.
You like that? Yeah, you're welcome, guys.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. We had such a great time, and we're super excited to talk to you about it today. We haven't really talked much, just the two of us this week, because we've kind of trying to be in recovery mode, I guess. I feel like I just had to dive straight back into work after like 2 hours of sleep on Monday night. So this week has been rough. That's like the understatement of the year, but it was all worth it because it was the most amazing weekend. And not only did we meet Joe Keery, but we got to meet a ton of the cast of Stranger Things.
Oh my God.
We got to meet lots of our friends that we've gotten to know through this community. So yeah, it was perfection. I really wouldn't change any of it.
No?
So yeah, we're excited to talk about it with you today.
Let's dive on it.
We decided we were going to go a little bit chronologically. So we'll go day by day, tell you some of the best things that happened and some of the things that were like low points, I think, because they're funny stories.
Yeah.
And then hopefully this will help us like both remember things that happened, because I feel like my brain is sort of like mush about some of it.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was just all blurring together. But we left Thursday morning.
Yes.
So tell me about Thursday, Stacy. This would be a low point for Stacy, I think.
This is what we're going to call a low point. If you guys are keeping score, make a little frowny face. I'm like the equivalent of an airport dad. I will arrive at the airport 10 hours early, and I'll sit in front of my gate, and 9 flights will go by. There were kids hacking all over me, and I'm a teacher. I'm allowed to say this. Gross, but I got onto my flight. It was a nice, cheap flight, which was wonderful. But if anybody's ever seen Major League, it's the plane they take. If you know, you know. And I get very bad motion sickness, and I had a kid next to me losing his shit because his iPad had lost its battery, which I wanted to be like, well, you're the reason why that happened. There was no talking logic into this kid. But literally, we hit so much turbulence. I was waiting for Devin Sawa to like start screaming about the plane blowing up. If you know, you know. Like literally, at one point I was like, I'm not going to puke. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. So when I landed, I'm one of those people, if I get nauseous, my equilibrium's all messed up. I right away was like, just breathe through. And we were basically in David Bowie's labyrinth because poor Megan, Rachel, Brandy, and her husband Andy were, had arrived earlier and they were trying to get Stacy. And it was just like a bunch of raccoons trying to teach each other poker. It just wasn't meant to happen. Somebody today went, well, why don't you just go on FaceTime with them and show where you were?
I
And
don't know if that would have helped because it all
everything
looks
looks
the
the
same.
same. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally went to Megan. Megan goes, well, where are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm at pickup. And I go, next to that big thing that looks like a giant basketball net. And I just hear her quietly go, well, that doesn't help at all. And little did we know, I was on one side of the airport and they were on the other side of the airport. So safe to say, I was fighting for my life by the time we finally found each other, just struggling not to throw up. At one point, Megan just goes, you okay back there, Stacey? And I go, just let me work through it. Like,
So Stacy and I got to the airport around the same time as each other on Thursday morning, even though my flight was like 6 hours before hers.
yeah.
So I had a little bit of a head start on her to get to Atlanta, but I mean, you guys were live with us on Wednesday night. Like we were up late. I slept for about 3 hours, had to go straight
Oh,
to the
yeah.
airport, but it was fine. I love airports. I'm like the exact opposite. I don't love the Atlanta airport. I've had
No.
multiple bad experiences there now, but I do love airports in general because you're either like going somewhere fun or you're coming home, and both of those are like good things. So,
It's a good way of looking at it.
yeah, and I flew and got to the airport, and Rachel was already there because she had come from California. So I got to meet
Yes.
Rachel, which was fantastic.
Where did you guys go? Because I know you hit up some filming locations to kill time.
Yeah, so we had to kill time a little bit because we went to pick up their rental car and then we were waiting for Brandy and Andy to get there. So we didn't go far, but there was the Wheeler house, the Henderson house, and the Sinclair house are all in like the same neighborhood, East Point,
That's so
which is
cool.
not super far from the airport. So we went there. We went to East Point, which like downtown East Point, they used some of those buildings in like season 1. So the library or the town hall, I can't remember. It's in either season 1 or season 2, and it's like a red brick building similar to like the library that's in Jackson that we saw later. But so we drove by those buildings. I showed Rachel it's like the back of a church, but they use it as like the hospital in
Oh,
season 1.
yep.
That's cool, but it looked like they were filming something else there when we were driving by.
Ooh,
And then we went to Brimborn Steelworks.
I love that you did that.
They actually have like a kombucha like brewery there now, but it wasn't open yet
Cool.
when we were there. But the lady that was there kind of said hi to us and was really sweet. And I wish we had more time to go back there
I
because it
know.
looked like a cool spot. But they had a blue Camaro outside. I think it might be actually Billy's blue Camaro, but I'm not like 100% sure because I know the people who own those cars like rent them out to the show to use. So, yeah, super cool. And then we got Brandy and Andy, and we actually were able to go to the Airbnb because they let us check in early. So we dropped our stuff, which was good, got some
Beautiful.
food, and we were trying to scarf down some food when you got there, which if we had not eaten first and we were trying to find you, it would have been really bad. So,
They would have driven up on the sidewalk and ran me over. Like,
or like ran a lot of other people over.
what kind of made me feel better was we decided to head towards the Krill house. And how far away is that from the airport? That was a bit of a hike.
Like 2 hours. Yeah. But how did you feel when we got there? Because that was pretty cool.
Like, I was in the back seat. Sorry, I was fighting for my life. But I was like, no, it'll be fine. But as soon as I laid eyes on the house, first of all, guys, it's 10 times more beautiful in person. It's so surreal to see it. And you could tell that they have been filming there because there were a bunch of covered big lights and stuff. There was security in the driveway. So what we did was right away we nerded out, which we played separate ways because we're those guys. And we were actually able to park across the street real quick and take pictures sort of fast. But as soon as I laid eyes on it, I was like nerd chills, just that epic, shot at the end of Papa where they drop Max, Erica, and Lucas off. Just total nerd chills. And I was like, you know what? I may have wanted to die a little bit earlier and I might still vomit, but it's all good now.
Yeah, it made it a little bit worth it, I guess, all of the trouble to go through. Yeah, I had never been to the Creel house before, so that was really cool. And they had it painted for season 5. So it's like the
Yep.
blue that is in, like the flashbacks of like in the 50s and stuff. So
Mhm.
it was really cool to see it like that. And also, they were like set up for filming out front.
Yep.
So that was really kind of pretty neat to see and to know that they were probably in the next couple of days after we were there going to be filming some pretty important scenes there.
Yeah. Just knowing that we kind of think Henry/Juan Vecna might be playing even a larger role, the fact that this is his house. This house is as iconic as like Michael Myers' house or Freddy Krueger's house. So it was really cool to be able to take some selfies there. Our next visit was Penhurst Mental Asylum, which is really college campus, correct?
Yeah, it's really Berry College and it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And they were so sweet. So it's only like less than 10 minutes from the Creel house. This is all in Rome, Georgia. And we drove over there. Beautiful campus. There were these deer everywhere. Very
Yep.
strange. But they were pretty deer. And the girl, the college student at like the welcome center, like when you first drive in, she was adorable. She was so sweet. We told her we wanted to go check out where they filmed for Stranger Things. She gave us a map and showed us where to go.
Yeah.
That was really cool because she was super excited for us to be there, which was neat. And yeah, then we just drove over and walked around and it was a beautiful day that day.
It was gorgeous.
I mean, it was gorgeous the whole time we were there. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. The weather, we could not have been more lucky for that
We
weather.
lucked out because I kept thinking it was going to be super humid. And I think we went at the perfect time of year where it was chilly in the morning. It was chilly at night, but during the day, it was sunny in like high 60s, low 70s, nice little breeze. It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, the college was really cool and it was just neat to like imagine like Nancy and Robin running across the grass and yeah.
Cinderella, you lost your shoe. So it was so much fun. And luckily, I ended up getting the front seat and we made a pit stop. We got some vitamin C. Megan made sure she got her vitamin C.
That vitamin C that I bought, was it like a CVS, I think,
Yeah.
that we stopped at? That was the best purchase I made the whole trip because I didn't get sick.
Look who didn't get Joe Keery's cold.
Yeah, so there's been lots of jokes because he was eating cough drops. The other thing was I saw his agent offer him some Benadryl, which was another sign that he might not have been feeling so well. But I said to him, I was like, Joe, don't take that Benadryl. You're going to be falling asleep. He looks at me. He's like, I'm not taking that Benadryl.
Yeah, no. It's like you were trying to drug a puppy with too much energy.
Yeah.
And they were like, here, take this. Yeah.
But he was eating cough drops the whole time, which totally
Mhm.
could have just been because he was talking a lot. But
Yeah.
people are joking that they all got sick from Joe Keery, but we're fine.
I'm glad we did that. We drove despite the traffic and the little hiccups along the way. We were actually able to drive to where they filmed Enzo's, the Italian restaurant where Hopper goes for his date with Joyce. And I have to say, now I'm Italian, but I have to say, that was probably some of the best pasta I've ever had.
It was so good. It was such a cute little restaurant. It's called Dominic's of Norcross. And this little historic Norcross town was really cute. Like we only just like stopped in for dinner, but it was all lit up and super cute. And we were there late. We had a reservation. We were running a little late for the reservation, but they were super sweet about it. And then it actually kind of ended up emptying out. So it was kind of cool. I snapped a couple pictures and didn't feel so weird about it because mostly everybody was gone by that time. But they sat us at a table also that had a photo from the show of Hopper and the waiter, like right there. So that was pretty funny.
You actually, basically in your own way, ordered his order, or as close as you could as someone who's vegetarian.
Yeah, because what was that called? Manicotti. Yeah, the pasta I got was manicotti, which was like similar to lasagna,
Lasagna.
but I don't eat meat, so it was like what I could get without eating meat. And then we also got like cheesy bread that was
Oh
delicious.
my God, that shit was off the hook.
I
as the
wish
kids
we
say.
had gotten like another order of that because it was fantastic. And yeah, I got my Chianti slash Chianti or whatever he calls it.
I love that I looked at you and I was like, I'm still recovering from not puking, so I'm going to be a good girl, not do the red wine. But guys, classic Stacy moment. I go to use the restroom. I wash my hands after I'm done doing my thing, and I go to leave. And you had to twist the doorknob a certain way in one of the bathrooms, and I didn't know that, so I thought I was locked in the toilet, and I didn't have my phone on me, and I was like, oh my God, this group is just going to leave me at the restaurant. I was a pain in the ass to pick up at the airport. I locked myself in the can. What am I going to do? So there was a moment of panic. But when I was finally able to, twist it left instead of right, I escaped. So even though we didn't get a chance to visit the Jackson escape rooms, I think that was my version of an escape room.
That happened to me too when I went in there. But when I went in the bathroom, it was because I had to pee so fucking bad. That was like one of the
Guys,
worst.
she ran as fast as the T-1000 in Terminator 2. She literally was like, get everything you need. I gotta go. And just booked it.
I was like, we have a reservation, but I'm going to the bathroom.
Yeah. That was intense.
Are we going to admit what we did after that?
Oh, yeah.
Are we going to admit this? Because I'm a little embarrassed.
We got a dude.
Okay, we're going to admit this, even though it is embarrassing, but it's for you. You get to laugh at us about it.
Yeah. So our big thing was we went to go to Starport Mall. There was that huge harvest moon, which looked amazing. So we were like, oh, look really cool, like in the last episode of season 3. So we go there and we're taking pictures and stuff. And we noticed that the looking over the wall where Dustin, Robin, and Steve are in there, it's raining, they have the binoculars, that there was, what was it, the back of the roof? We noticed that's where they filmed it.
I'm pretty sure that is kind of cool because we got to see that part of the mall also.
We did.
But we did not see the main entrance.
I'm not even kidding you. I turned towards it. Was it you? I think you and Andy were too busy looking at the mysterious light going on through the glass locked doors. But I'm looking at it and I go, man, he must have really had to build out on this. I just remember it looked bigger, the entrance. And one of you guys were like, yeah, that's usually what they do. They'll do like a whole archway and this and that, pillars. And I'm like, wow. This next day, guys, I'm like, killing time, flicking through my Instagram. Somebody else and their family member visited Starcourt. We were at the rear entrance the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a huge mall. And at some point, I thought to myself, like, we should probably drive around some more and see if we can find a different entrance. Like, maybe this isn't it. But it looked close enough that I feel like we were like,
tell what it is.
Yeah, I was like, this is it. Like, it's basically the same.
Guys,
it was not the same.
Fucking judgment everybody gave me. I reached down and I picked up a rock. It was a tiny rock, medium-sized rock, let's be real. And I went, a rock from Starcourt Mall. All of these assholes went, yeah, you're taking that rock, yeah? And I'm like, yeah. I was the child of the group, apparently, just collecting rocks.
It was hilarious. And it was cool. Like, I mean, we were there. We just didn't see the right entrance.
Right church, wrong pew. So close enough. But that was a ton of fun. And, we basically all crashed when we went back to our lovely Airbnb. and we ended up getting up early the next day. And where did we head to?
On Friday morning, we got up and we got to go to the place where it all began.
We're off the can, baby.
So we got to go to Skull Rock. Like, you're listening to Skull Rock broadcast with two people who went to Skull Rock together. So
Did we ever?
I had been to Skull Rock before, but it's probably my favorite filming location, hence the name of this podcast.
Mhm.
And Stacy had not, and it was quite the experience. She almost cried as we walked
Oh,
up.
yeah.
She said multiple times that she wants her ashes spread there. So
Remember that,
got that
guys.
in my head.
Yup.
So it was pretty cool. I love it there. It's so cool.
So surreal to like just see exactly where they filmed stuff, because obviously when you see it in real life, you can tell like where they maybe CGI'd a tree out, so for it to work with the equipment and the shots. But like Megan was the one to point out like, oh, well, see that rock? That's the rock that Eddie climbs up, where he's like, oh, this is like Hawkins, but weird and monster, nasty shit. And like they showed me exactly where they were crouching down. It was just so effing cool. And we took a million photos. We went live, but chills literally being there. And it hit me because I always associate that with the scene of, the Shires burning. And then right away I was like, wait, no, one of my favorite scenes is when the teens are stuck down there in the upside down. So I, of course, being the legendary recreator that I am, I was like, I'll need to like crouch down and pretend that there's demo bats flying overhead. And the acting guys, if you follow us on Instagram, I'm telling you, give us some Emmys, because amazing. And our friend Rachel looked at me as I was squatting, said, "Not what you like to call an outdoor gal." And she went, "Do you need a hand?" And I went, "No, I'm good." And then I proceeded to eat shit. I fell down like a newborn trying to lift their head. Like it was bad.
It was really funny.
I ate shit it so wrong. Make that a bumper sticker.
You did get up on that big rock though and not fall. So
Did. You had to hold my hand for basically most of it, because I was like, man, I break my neck the day before I'm supposed to meet Joe Keery. Universe just hates me. But it was so much fun. Like I said, we took a million photos. It was cool seeing like these rock climbers, I guess, like practice on those rocks.
yeah, well they climb those rocks. Like they're rocks.
That fucking guy was giving hardcore judgment, being like, this bitch can't even like go down a 2-foot rock. I'm like, I'm wearing flats, I might fall. So
Meanwhile, I'm in like sandals, like slides.
yeah, you were doing it like a pro, man. I was proud of you, but it was so cool seeing that. And then I actually forgot about our next place we were going to visit. So we're just in the car vibing, and I'm thinking we're on our way to lunch. We actually stopped at the Hawkins Community Pool, which was a huge, huge wish of mine. So I was
Yeah.
so excited. It was like surprising an 8-year-old on their birthday. I was like, you took me to the pool? So exciting.
Yeah, I think that was like our podcast morning, because we went to Skull Rock broadcast, Skull Rock. We went to the Hawkins Community Pool, which is our Patreon episodes. It was a whole podcast themed morning there, but I had also never been to the pool, so I was super excited to visit that location. And
What were your thoughts about the pool?
I loved it. It was so cool to see it, and just to know that that's where all of those iconic scenes were filmed. It's
Mhm.
actually a pretty nice place, but I
It
think
is.
we did read or maybe hear that maybe they fixed it up a bit when they were about
Mhm.
to film there. So it got a little bit of a revamp for filming. But it's actually a pool that's open during the summer. So we were like, maybe we need to come back and swim here during the summer. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was really cool. We walked all the way around it, got to see it from lots of different angles, got to like look inside to the part where they filmed inside. I wonder if the locker room, I'm assuming the locker room was probably like a sound stage.
I'm assuming it was, because it looks like it wouldn't have really fit. And if it was, probably theirs was much smaller than what we saw on the show.
Yeah.
But it was funny, like when we went to the back, I was like, oh, so Billy burst through this brick wall when Al threw him through it. So it was just really cool to like put all the pieces together. And like we said, it was absolutely gorgeous out. So it was really, really nice. Where did we stop for lunch, Miss Megan?
Yeah, so then we did a little detour to Mystic Falls. If anybody watches the Vampire Diaries, we went to the Mystic Grill, which was really cool. I was very excited to stop in Covington. I actually went back on Monday on my own, but lunch was delicious. It was like
Oh, good.
all decked out for Halloween. So they had like a Harry Potter theme going too.
Yep.
And I got a cocktail with like Brothers Bond bourbon, which is the
Hmm.
bourbon that Paul Wesley and Ian Somerhalder like make. And it was delicious and lunch was really good. I had shrimp and grits. You had what Alexis recommended, I
The
think.
fried chicken had to
Yeah.
do my girl proud, you know?
Yeah, so it was delicious and it was like perfect timing. We didn't wait. Like
No.
it was just awesome to just be in the square where they filmed the Vampire Diaries with like the clock tower and everything like that. So we got a little taste of that on Friday for lunch before heading to early registration
Yep.
at the con. So that was pretty cool.
I do have to say, for registration, it went very smoothly. They had the nicest group of volunteers, very personable. They, were very warm and welcoming. They were excited for us to be there. And it was just so well organized. Like I said, and I know I've told Megan this a million times, I've been going to cons, all different ones, since 2006. I've worked them. I've done security for them. I've vended at them and I've gone just as, somebody visiting people. And I have to say, this was hands down the most pleasant experience I have ever had. Like the setup of the convention hall was perfect. It was two large, large rooms. One was split into kind of two sections, the panel and then the photo ops. And then the other room was for autographs. And just the way they had things organized into groups and sections and stuff, it just worked so well. And there wasn't ever a time that you felt like claustrophobic and people were just blocking entranceways. They kept things clear, running smoothly. It was really nice.
Yeah, and all of the volunteers were amazing. It was so funny. We didn't wait in a line at all for
No.
registration. We just walked right in. And my funny story at registration, though, was that I walk in and they had everybody's stuff in envelopes because they
Yeah.
give you physical souvenir tickets for all
So
of
cool.
for all of your items that you bought. So they were beautiful. And it's just really a cool little extra thing to have, like with your items, like your autographs or your photographs. So they had them in envelopes. So I gave my name and she goes over and she gets me an envelope and she brings it back. And there's like a list of all the things that you bought, like attached to the front of the envelope. And I'm like, there's only like 6 things on there. And I was like, I bought way more than that.
Hmm.
And so she's like, okay, let me go check. And then she brings back another envelope. And I was like, yeah, that's more like it. Because basically, I had 2 envelopes because I had so much stuff. And my first envelope, the whole paper that was attached to it was full. So that's why I needed a second envelope.
You got 2 envelopes.
Yeah. So that was really funny. I was like, yeah, that's not all I bought.
No. I remember you coming up to me telling me that too. And you're like, yeah, they handed me this. And I'm like, there's no way. And then I went, well, where's the other envelope? As soon as she showed it to me, there were eyes of judgment, but not really. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, that's awesome.
There was a lot of eyes of judgment, I think, of people there. But I mean,
YOLO.
I had a photo with every person, but I bought these all throughout the year. Like, so it's like we knew
Yeah.
we were going to this con since January. So I'd been buying like a few things here and there throughout the year and ended up with a photo with everybody and multiple autographs, but it's not like I bought them all at one time.
No.
So plus it was like this is was a once in a lifetime thing. This is
Yes.
never going to happen the way it happened ever again. I'm never going to have the opportunity to meet that many cast members.
I kept saying that to you in the group. I was like, guys, when are we ever going to be able to do this when they're all together for filming? This
Right.
is the last season, so it's not going to happen again. So we were incredibly lucky. And like you said, having that many people of the same show underneath one roof, you just gotta, because
Right.
when are you going to get a chance to do that again? And you don't attend many cons too. So I think that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And also like buying the tickets throughout the year, girl math.
Exactly.
There you
Exactly. It's
go.
not like I bought them all at one time.
Yeah.
And there were certain people that I added last minute, and I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to like talking about the different Saturday and Sunday of the con, but that I was so glad that I had added
Hmm.
them because they ended up being some of my favorite people to meet. So we got our tickets and everything at registration. And
Yep.
also, I had bought everybody's tickets for trivia, and there were 5 of them. So, like, that was another reason, like, my paper was so full. Come on. Like,
Girl, there's no judgment here. Like, you've seen the theme of my living room.
we
So,
we
yeah,
also got to, like, visit some of the vendors that were there on early registration day.
big shout out.
A
Big,
big
big, big
shout
shout out.
out to all the vendors, especially our lovely Emma, who
Yeah.
we're obsessed with. We love her so much. We got to go over to her booth, which she was telling us that she likes to like set it up and make it look like a store. It
Yeah.
was gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
it was just it felt like so homey and comfortable when you walked in, and she had literally hoodies and sweatshirts for every single character on the
Yeah.
show and every character that was gonna be there, and I had done a pre-order of that red Hawkins sweatshirt,
Yeah.
and she brought it with her so that she
Amazing.
could give it to me there. We actually got the Eddie Munson Corroded Coffin hoodies, which was super
So
fun,
soft.
and I did her make your own Demogorgon, like the
Adorable.
little stuffed Demogorgon. I picked the Harrington shirt for him and got, like, the Hellfire patch, so that was my little nod to Steve and Eddie,
I
but
love that.
it was adorable, so that's what we did at registration, and then we got to do trivia.
And trivia was a blast. It was really cool, especially that was around the time we started running into a bunch of you guys that did attend the con and stuff. It was just so cool to like finally get to meet a lot of you guys in person and just, chat with internet friends who are in the same fandom as us. It's just been so much fun doing that. But we were able to witness trivia, which was a riot. We sat right up front, and Mason, who plays Jason Carver, I have to say, like, you can tell he had never done anything like this before, but he slipped right into it like a natural and started joking around. It was super sweet. And we all kind of said, we were like, this was almost like a meet and greet with Mason because in between rounds, when they were counting up the tickets, he kind of would just do a mini Q&A. And it was just really funny to hear his stories about filming. And you can tell he's just a laid back dude with a great sense of humor. And it was funny hearing these little stories about behind the scenes and, him filming for so long and never having met Grace yet. So it was just really, really incredible. And if you're a fan of the show The Boys, he had just recently gotten casted in that. And he was talking about how excited he was for this brand new project. So cool, cool dude.
Yeah, and let's talk about how we did in trivia a little bit. So there were 3 rounds, 4 questions for each round. We were pretty confident about, like, the majority of the questions. There
Yeah.
was, like, 1 or 2 questions where we were, like, kind of nervous about how
Mm,
we did, but we did pull them off. So we literally had a perfect score, 60
we did.
points. There were only 3 teams that had a perfect score, us and 2 other teams. So then for the, like, last round, though, it was sort of like a wager situation, like Jeopardy, where you have to bet how many points you have. So
The look on your face when you went, well, how much should I wager? Don't ever take me to Vegas, guys. I want all of it. Go
yeah,
big or go home.
it's all or nothing. It had to be all or nothing. I was down for that because if you wager less, then you're not going to win. Like the only way you win is if you go all or nothing. So we obviously wagered our 60 points. Now, the thing that I was a little bit bummed about, but I'll circle back because I wasn't really bummed in the end. We had it written down. We had it written down correctly.
Yeah.
So we had to put in order. We were like a little bit annoyed about this because it was like their personal lives of the
Which
actors.
we tend to sway away from.
Yeah, like we talk about the show. We don't know exactly how old all these kids are. Like, so we had to put in order the actors that play the 6 kids: Millie, Noah, Sadie, Caleb, Gaten, and Finn. So we had to put them in order from youngest to oldest.
Literally, guys, I'm not even kidding you. Like the way we're sitting, it was almost like a line going down to me. So for the regular trivia questions, like the final say so was everyone would look at me and I'd be like, yeah, it's that. And we're all whispering. As soon as they said that, I crossed my arms, looked at Megan, and I go, I don't know. I don't know. And your original attempt was the right one, right?
Correct. Yeah. What I wrote down originally was correct. So it's Noah is the youngest, then it's Millie.
Okay.
Then we knew that Caleb was the oldest. And then I was pretty confident about Finn being next from Millie to Finn. But then it was Gaten and Sadie that we went back and forth on. So what we had first, which was, I think, Gaten, then Sadie, or Sadie. See, I can't even remember now. But whatever we had first was the correct thing. And then I switched it and it's fine. We didn't win because I was kind of glad we didn't win.
If we had won, because the first prize was a photo op with the, I'm using bunny quotes, guys, teens. They called it the grown-ups.
Yeah.
And it was Natalia, Charlie, Maya, and Joe. And it would have been cool, but my schedule was not packed at all. But like I was already a little like, whoa, everyone else's schedules were so jam-packed tight. And it was just because they were going to see the people they bought tickets for, I don't think it would have worked. It just wouldn't have. And also, I know that, there were people on one other team that they hadn't really met anybody. And I know we would have been the cool dudes that would have been like, here.
Yeah, well, we could have we would have gotten 5 of those photo ops, so we could have like kept a couple and then like given them away. But like it was just also we would have had to do a tiebreaker with the team that was also in the lead, and
it was 5 photo ops. You got a photograph each.
Yeah, we would have all gotten a photo op because the team that did win, I ended up talking to like the married couple that was on that team. And they each had a photo with the teens and they were like, we should have like traded with somebody on the second place team because that was the boys. So Gaten, Caleb, and Noah. So they were like, we should have traded with them so that we could have had both. But they said it was pretty fun. And I saw their photos. They turned out really cute. They did like a normal photo. And then all of them were like, well, what should we do for the second one? And like, they said like, even like Charlie and Natalia were like all into it to like make a funny face. So
I love that.
Yeah. So it ended up being really great for them. And I'm so glad that they had that experience, which is why I'm glad that like we didn't win. So there were like lots of different reasons because I was glad for them, but also it really would have stressed me out even more for my schedule.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I love that I was walking out of the trivia with Megan and I go, so if we would have gone with the first choice, we would have gotten it. And then there would have been probably a lightning round. And you were like, yeah. And I go, so we did have a perfect score. And I go, that's all I need to know.
Yeah,
I go,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a perfect score for trivia, so that's all that matters. Like,
yeah. I was like, well, I know that I got a perfect score and I know that we got a perfect score, so we're good. But it was so much fun. Like I said, Mason was a lot of fun. He kept it upbeat and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Was the cemetery next?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was so funny because we were wishful thinking. We're like, we need to get there just as the sun's setting, just like in the fucking show. Francis Ford Coppola over here. We're like, we're gonna get to it. And it's a bit of a hike as well, right?
It was pretty close to our Airbnb, but it was far from
The
Jackson.
convention center.
Yeah, and actually, I think did we go into town for a little bit after trivia?
See, this is why you're here. I am
Yeah.
gassed, guys. Blacked out.
Yeah, we went into town because that's when we got to see Brittany at
Yep.
Vintage Vineyard, and we got to see Allie at Lena Jane. So we got to chat with some of them that we had recorded with, which was super cool, and
It
like
was
got to
so
see
cool to meet
their
people in
shops.
person.
Yeah, yeah,
See their shops. Brittany's shop is just so cute and quaint. Her decorations were insane. It seemed as though like every time you turned your head, there was a new decoration. And we were able to partake in her wine slushies, where we also bought the stronger drink shirts.
yep.
Just so much fun and just such a laid back vibe. That's what I loved about the shops in the center. Just laid back, beautiful. The next shop we visited,
Allie from Lena Jane. Yes.
yeah, her shop, like the mannequins in the front window and the original costumes, and just so laid back and so friendly. Was talking about, just this weekend and how cool it was to, be able to host some of the meet and greets as well as meet all these Stranger Things fans. And it was just incredible to just take the time to just meet everybody and look around town because they decorated that place to the nines. The coffee shop was decorated, seeing the murals outside of the ice cream shop. So cool.
Yeah, so it was fun to just walk around. That was what I kind of missed, like having more time to walk around the town because
Yes.
my schedule was a little packed. I did meet and greets both evenings on Saturday and Sunday. And other than that, on Friday and then a little bit on Saturday, we like didn't really get to walk around the town. I didn't get to walk around the town much. You guys did a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it was fun that night to at least be able to check in with them and get to see their shops and have that wine slushy, see the sheet that Brittany had hanging from the ceiling, like in
so
season
cool.
4, her like portal into the upside down and the door. She did amazing. And like you said, the Lena Jane shop was decorated really cool too. So that was fun. And then we headed to the cemetery.
I'm telling you, you would have thought there were a bunch of Francis Ford Coppolas in that car because we're like, we're going to get the perfect shot. We're going to get it during magic hour. And
we got there a little late.
yeah, a little bit of traffic. And we entered in the rear. We actually entered where technically Steve's car's parked in the episode Dear Billy. But then we were watching TikTok and like, Megan's like, watch this TikTok. And like,
yeah, well, the TikTok showed you how to get to the exact spot where Billy's grave
you had
was.
to have gone in the front entrance.
Right.
So it was a little bit of driving around. And it was like literally like the polar opposite of a vampire. We're watching the sun slowly go down. And we're like, we're going to find it. We're going to find it. And we got there kind of just in the nick of time, which was super, super cool. And it was so cool seeing. There's no marker or anything, but people have left like his license plate from the show and little treats and bracelets and stuff. So it was really cool to like sit on this fake grave. And we, yet again, recreated the I'm still here scene, which Rachel was like, I'll be Dustin. She borrowed our friend Andy's baseball cap and the acting on our faces. Yet again, where are our awards?
I don't think we've posted that. Have we posted that yet?
Oh, I posted
No, you
it.
posted it.
Yeah.
We got to post it on like the official
and do the instrumental running up that hill, make it look real serious. But it was funny, like also like where Max technically sits, there's like a patch because so many asses have been there of just red dirt, red clay. And I was like, I want to get my jeans dirty. I kept falling left and right. It didn't matter. I probably was the most dirty out of all of us. You even looked at me at one point and went, there's dirt all over your jeans. It was like I was Pigpen.
You were like rolling around in the dirt.
it was bad. I was like a dog just trying to find a place to pee. And we luckily got the shot, but it was so cool. And then
it was dark. Like it was full dark when we left because we got the last little bit of light for a few photos. And then it was dark. We had to find our way out of the cemetery. But literally, like right next to the cemetery is Billy and Max's house
I
from
was
season
gagged.
3. Yeah.
I thought we were
Or
still
season
technically
2 and season 3, right?
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gagged because right away I'm like, we're out of the cemetery. It's the next street over. And it's a private residence. So we're trying not to be too sketchy, but we're able to snap a photo of it. And it kind of gave like October feels with the porch light on and stuff. But super cool to see those two locations right on top of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Friday. I was just still so scared, even until like Saturday morning, that I was not going to meet Joe Keery.
Until you laid eyes on him.
Yeah. Until I was in that room and I saw him with my eyes, I did not think it was actually going to happen. I think I got like traumatized by like everything that happened with Joseph Quinn when we were about to see him. And I mean, luckily I did end up getting to see him, but it was just, I was so anxious. But
Yeah.
Saturday morning, man, we got up. I did not have a meet and greet Saturday morning, which was actually a good thing because I was supposed to have Natalia's meet and greet on Saturday morning,
Yes. Yep.
and it got moved to Saturday evening
Because
because
they were.
they were filming until like 8 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Isn't that insane, guys?
And that's the thing, like, they were so close to canceling some of them because that's a long day, but Charlie and Natalia, they were there that day anyway. They still came, and Joe and Maya, but they pushed some of their stuff later
Yeah.
in the day. So actually, when I got there on Saturday morning, I didn't have anything to do until afternoon. So I got to watch one panel. That was the only panel I got to watch the whole weekend, but it was a pretty good one. It was Matthew Modine, Raphael, who played young Henry Creel, and Jamie Campbell Bower.
Yep.
So we got to watch their panel. Matthew Modine, talk about Matthew Modine and his crazy theory.
So, first of all, he is a delight. We were actually able to meet him together, which was really cool. And guys, if you did run into us, 99% of the time, one of us wasn't with the other because our schedules were just so crazy. So we're always like, oh yeah, so-and-so's in that line. Megan's over here. Stacey's over there. So I was really glad we were able to meet Matthew together. And he kind of said, because somebody asked something about how do you survive that Demogorgon attack, which everyone has asked that. And his theory is that he got his position at Hawkins Lab because he actually had the gift of, telekinesis.
Yeah. So he thinks that his character actually has powers also and was basically like 000.
He made some good effing points. Like in season 4, when 11 tries to like use her power at him and it doesn't do anything. And he's like, did you think it was going to be that easy? So when he dropped the whole 000 thing, like we're all looking at each other like, hot damn, like, wow. So just really cool. And he was just really laid back. He had a lovely red bandana on. I'm not going to say who I think he was cosplaying as, but somebody stole my look. But you know what? It worked on him. It worked on him. And he was just a delight. But before then, I met Jamie with our friend Brandy. He was just lovely. Just a nice, nice guy. Dying to hear about how your interaction was with him. But just very, very lovely, soft-spoken, very polite. And he was great during his panel.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I I know he was great. I loved taking the photo with him because I feel like I don't know, like it was just very comfortable to take a photo with him. Like I feel like he had just a very like calm and peaceful sort of way about him. But I couldn't even tell you when I met him. Like it was just like a blur.
It was a blur.
Yeah, everything was a blur. But what I remember is that he was very kind, and I don't even know what I got signed. I have to look back.
Megan was on autopilot, but in the best way possible.
Yeah. So was Matthew Modine, I think Matthew Modine was the next person that I met that day with you, like you said. So as soon as their panel was over, oh, no, it was Raphael. I went and got a photo with Raphael, and then I got my autograph with Matthew Modine. And then it was time.
It was time.
I think. Hold on. I feel like I need to like look at my schedule. Let me get it.
Megan had a lot going on.
Let me get my schedule so I can stay like on track. I mean, I spent so long writing these, I might as well get more use out of them.
You really should, yeah.
So yeah, I got my Raphael photo. Oh, and then it was Joe. Okay.
See,
Then
that
it
was
was
just a
Joe.
blur.
It was just a blur because
Now, we were all together for that.
we were, so I was not exactly with you for the Joe photo because I had been in line getting my Raphael photo, and then immediately I got in the line for Joe, and you guys didn't come over until like a little bit later, I think. So I was in line with Hannah Sarah because we have a cute photo because we were the front of the line. And for some reason with the schedule changes, the Joe Keery group 2 for photos actually ended up going before Joe Keery group 1. So we were in line, even though we were the first in line, we were watching the group 2 people go, and we could see him. Like, I remember you guys were a little ways behind us and we were like,
You told me
turn
to turn
around.
around. And I love
Yeah.
that I looked at him like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like we were like watching him through the curtain. Like, so that was when I like first laid my eyes on him and knew that he was actually in the building
We
and that it
made
was
it.
actually going to happen. And I'm like getting like emotional about it again. But it was really great.
He was lovely. And I have to admit, like, I was telling Megan, I was like, oh, I loved all my photos from the weekend. But the first one I posted on my Instagram, I was like, oh, yeah, you can kind of see the shock in my face. I don't think my brain was on 100% because as soon as I laid eyes on him, I was like, that's Joe Keery. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He had a brown baseball cap on and like a sweatshirt and khakis. And he immediately makes you feel, even during a photo op, which as we know, the people have done them, photo ops are very quick. They're very, very quick. And it's not the talent's fault. It has to be quick. And he would be like, hey, how you doing? Oh, hey, you again. Nice seeing you. And just be so warm and affectionate that I told a friend of mine, the nicest person I've ever met, who's actually going to be on Stranger Things, is Linda Hamilton from the Terminator series. That woman is a goddamn saint. And they went, how's Joe Keery? And I went, the male Linda Hamilton. And I'm not just saying that. He immediately, I was like, oh, this is a good vibe. Like, this guy's cool. You know,
he was a great vibe. And I made Hannah Sarah go first because I kind of wanted to like watch her get her photos.
Megan likes to watch.
I kept saying that. Like, I did like making whoever I was going in line with go before me because then I got to watch their interaction too.
There you go.
So she had like 3 photos with him for that time frame, and I like wanted to see her cute poses that she did with him, and they turned out really cute. But then I walked up to him, and
what happened, Megan?
So we like have our arms around each other for the photo, right? But then we're like staring into each other's eyes because he just makes eye contact with you.
Yeah. Yep.
And he is like, we're supposed to be looking at the camera and we just keep like looking at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something like, it's so cool that you're here. And he's like, yeah, you too. Like, it's so funny that we're all here on the same day. And I just like die laughing. And like, I wonder if he like said that to anybody else because after the fact, I'm like, that sounds like something you would like not necessarily think of in the moment. It would be like a joke you think of, and then you would like use it for like multiple people. But I don't know. Maybe he only said it to me.
Major dad humor, which I just loved.
Yeah.
And I like, now that you're saying it, when I first walked up to him, he puts his arm around you and then he just stares. And the entire time I'm like, just look at the camera, just ignore this fuck, just look at the camera. And he's just smiling.
No, I was
and
looking,
like,
I was just staring into his eyes. Like, I feel like we kept like looking at the camera, but like back at him because I just wanted to keep looking at him. So it was fantastic.
Dude, I was having a moment.
Yeah.
After that was the autograph, correct?
Yeah. So then I had a photo with Priya, with Brandy, which was really fun. She was adorable. And then we met Matthew.
Yes.
No. No, no, no.
I love that I'm saying yes, guys. I don't have a schedule in front of me.
Then I had a photo with Matthew, which
Okay.
so I did the photo with him before I did the autograph. Love my photo with Matthew. He's so tall. He's like the tallest person I like met all day, so he makes me look tiny, which is great. And then I also did a photo with Noah, and that's when we then did the autograph with Matthew together.
That was fun.
Yeah, which was cool because I had him sign it 000, which he like thought was hilarious. And I know a lot of
Mhm.
people were asking if we told anybody about the podcast. That was it. We gave him a postcard, but like that was the only like cast member that we said anything to about.
And it was just because, like, like, guys, you know me, I have no fucking shame. I would have been digging into my bag and giving them out, but my feet started kind of hurting because I wore too tight of shoes. Good job, Stace. But Matthew was the only one we kind of handed the postcard to. If we ever get another chance again, we'd love to do it. It was just things were moving so fast and we were so rarely together that he really when we got a
Yeah.
chance to do that. But he was super cool about it.
Yeah. Then I got to take a photo with Mason,
Oh, that's cool.
which was really fun. And then it was the Joe autograph that we did do
We
together.
did. We did get to do that. The way we did our order was Brandy went first, then it was me, then it was Meghan. And, you know, Joe was really cute. Brandy bought like I'm not gonna go into details, but brought a print from Marmalade. We'll hear her side of the story. But he was super cute about it. So then when I went up, I was like, okay, I have one autograph today, two tomorrow. So I had him sign my custom spree VHS. And
Mm.
he right away, when I was like, yeah, and it's on an actual tape, he was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And he goes, I just recently started collecting VHS. I went to get down on one knee and propose marriage. I'm a collector. You want to go through my collection? But no, I kept the creep factor down. But I rarely ever give gifts just because it's too much of a hassle, really, to, take them with you, especially when you're traveling. But I'm from Massachusetts, same as Joe. And I ended up getting Cat from his hometown, Newburyport. And I gave it to him. And I was like, hey, I'm from Methuen. And he slapped me five and gave me a fist bump, which was super cute. He knew where I was talking about. And I said, I usually never give gifts, but here's this hat. And he goes, did you get this in Newburyport? I'm like, yeah, because I live right near it. And he goes, you know who's going to take this? My dad. And luckily, that interaction ended up in the TikTok, which was super cool that this person filmed my interaction with Joe. And he gives the most, I'm sure you can elaborate, the most intense eye contact. Anybody who met him is going to say the same thing. His line was a mile long, and he's a talker. He made every single experience memorable. He made you feel seen. He was actually actively listening, just held really strong eye contact, was super funny and laid back, laughing, joking, just seemed really appreciative to talk to his fans. And I don't know, I was just like, this was the nicest experience ever. Like, Steve's my all-time favorite character. And just the fact that he met that expectation, I was like, that was pleasant as hell. So he was a dream. And then you went, correct?
Yeah, so it's lucky that whoever was filming you didn't get kicked out because that was definitely not allowed. But
But guys, guess what? My interaction got on TikTok. So we're frowning. We're frowning on the fact that you were filming, but we're not frowning because Stacy now has that moment, frozen in time.
Yeah, it is really cool to be able to see him talking to you because I was watching it from like the other side, and it was like I said, I just loved watching like my friends get to interact with him. So
Just two Massachusetts people having a hoot.
I have to decide because what I talked about with Joe first is kind of like personal, and I don't really know if I want to share. But then I feel like just saying that makes it sound even more cryptic. So,
What did you say to him?
well, because I talked about our mutual friend, like,
Oh,
yeah. So I was able to connect with him because we actually have a mutual friend, which is crazy. And I don't really talk about that very much, but it was a neat way to like be able to start off my like interaction with him, I guess. And I actually talked to his agent during that interaction as well. I feel like every time I went to his table, I was talking to his agent also, which was really funny. But
Best friends.
yeah, so it was neat. It was neat to like be able to connect with him about that. And combined with the interaction at the photo op and then that, and then getting to go back to his table a couple times throughout the day because I had 2 more autographs with him that day, which I guess
Mhm.
you weren't with me for, were you?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I was getting things signed for other people, which was a little stressful for me because I was very worried about like the autograph smearing or like anything happening like that. But we got our autograph for the
Yeah.
giveaway. So our giveaway winner won. We got the
Woo!
print that he had chosen signed. So that was pretty cool. And then I got another print signed later that day. So it was just kind of fun because I got to go back to his table multiple times and get more things signed. And that was like the one thing, like when I saw him about to take the Benadryl and I was like, don't take the Benadryl. So it was like just little
Yeah.
funny like things that happened at each table, at each interaction. But it was definitely a blur. I also had like that autograph with Jamie that apparently I blacked out for, an
Bye.
autograph with Priya at some point. Oh, I do want to talk about my autographs with Charlie and Natalia.
Yeah.
So I did not plan ahead for like any autographs really. I knew a couple things that I wanted to get signed by Joe, but
Yeah.
they had photos at the tables, like headshots and stuff like that. So for Natalia, the one that I really liked was this really cute photo of her and Charlie, and they're not in character. It's just them.
Mhm.
And she's smiling and she looks beautiful. And like Charlie's laughing and his head is down a little bit. So I picked that one for her to sign and I got to see her first. And she was just really cute. And I was like, "Oh, you can't really see Charlie in this, so I'm not really sure if I should get him to sign it too." And she was like, "Yeah, but it's really cute." And I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's totally cute." And I was like, "I'm coming to your meet and greet later." And she was like, "Oh, that's so cool." So
I love that.
then later in the day, I took it back to Charlie's table and I was like, I'm just going to get him to sign it. So I say to him, like, you can't really see your face that well in this photo, but I think it's such a great photo of the two of you. So I figured I would get you to sign it. And he was like, yeah, it's a great photo. Like, did you know that this was actually taken on Natalia's birthday? So
Aw.
like that was cool to like have that little interaction with them too. Later, we also had our photo with Joe and Maya.
So much fun.
Yeah. So it was like you and Brandy did that together,
Mhm.
and then I did it on my own. That was my first time seeing Maya,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's tall.
She's very
Like,
tall. Yeah.
I mean, you're tall. So like I feel like you were still a little bit shorter than both of them,
Yeah,
right?
I think I'm 5'8", Maya must be 5'9", and Keery claims he's 5'10". I think he's taller. 'Cause whoa.
He seemed tall. He
Yeah.
seemed tall. But, like, they both, like, towered over me.
Yeah, they
Like,
did.
but it was so cute. Like, I feel like both of them just, like, would get so, like, comfortable with you when you
Mhm.
took the photo. Like, it was like you were, like, taking a photo with friends,
Yes.
whereas, like, some of them, they're cute photos, but, like, you're not as comfortable with them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a little bit more like distance between you and everything. But like for both of them, it was like no distance, like
No.
right up in there.
Yep.
And then we also had our photo together with Joe.
I'm not one to brag, but I think that photo came out fantastic. It's almost like he could sense the Skull Rock vibes, guys, because that is $1 million smile on that man. So it was just super cool to wear Tess's sweatshirts and just do this because, like we said, we've been dreaming about having this opportunity, which we never thought would be possible when we first started the show. So super, super cool.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved getting that photo with you. It was a little bit of a stressful experience for
No.
Stacy, So, so
No.
let me
Look at
explain.
me being the nice podcast host. I'm like, it was a beautiful experience. She's the one about to spill the tea, guys.
I think it's a funny story though. So we go in, it's Rachel, Brandy, and Stacy are getting a photo with Joe. And then Rachel was getting a photo with Joe by herself. So the three of them go, and I told Stacy to come back over and stand with me after the photo. And I totally get that she could have stayed on the other side now. I understand this now. It would have made more sense for her to stay on the other side and wait.
It was
But
like I was a child running into the fucking street, guys. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm adding to it.
I thought Stacy was leaving. I thought she was going to walk away and leave me there and not get our photo together.
Remember
So I yelled.
Remember how the mom in Home Alone screams, Megan! Imagine Megan screaming, Stacy!
Right in front of Joe Keery.
Oh, yeah, she didn't give me a talk.
Stacy, come back over here.
And then I proceed to, it was Rachel's photo, right? I proceed to walk in front of the camera, and the photographer, bless their heart, they just looked at me and like smirked, and I went, oh my God, I photobombed them. I'm an ass. I'm an ass. I'm an ass. And I think that's what started making Keery laugh, because he was probably like, who fucking invited these two? And yeah.
Yeah, I think you only said I'm an ass once, but still.
It felt like I said it 90 times.
And then I'm like, go back on the other side.
Yeah, she then goes, I want to be on his left side. Guys, you can tell I love Megan, because I'm like, uh-huh. So there may or may not have been a little more yelling. And I don't know exactly what I said to Keery, either like who invited me, or I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And he had a good laugh at it. So yeah, you're welcome.
The photo, it was all worth it
was
for
so
the
worth
photo.
It was.
And now Stacy is never gonna let me live it down. So
listen,
it's
guys,
fine.
You're the witnesses. I was like, oh, it's a dreamy experience. It's lovely. So, I am a forgive and forget kind of gal, but we walked out, and then I accidentally almost grabbed Megan's bag, and she was like, that's my bag. And I literally, Randy or Megan was like, you stressed out, Stacey? And I, like a bitch, I went, we all need to stop yelling at each other. And I just walked away.
I'm laughing so hard my stomach hurts.
I didn't even scan the QR code.
She was like, I'm done. But it's all worth it. Look at that photo. Look at the joy on our faces in that photo.
That's like Christmas morning original Four Loco energy. Like, that's good energy.
It was chaotic, but it turned out great.
Yeah. And if anybody ever asks again, we're going to be like, oh no, it went great. It was smooth.
And then, I mean, he got to see us later again. Like, oh, and that's the thing too. Every time I saw him, I was like, I'll see you guys at ice cream later.
Take a drink every time Megan that weekend told Joe Keery and the rest of the cast and Maya Hawk going, I'll see you tonight at the ice cream social.
And then I said to him at one point, I was like, I think I've said this to you 5 times.
But I'll check you at the ice cream social.
I think he thought I was funny. So I did not have a photo with Maya by herself that day. Did you?
No.
Yeah. So my photo with Maya by herself was the next day. But
didn't we do another one?
We did Natalia and Kara,
who they are so pretty,
beautiful, and
so
my God. Sweet. I wish I had done more with Kara, because I just had that one photo, and that's like a regret, because I would have loved to do another photo with just her or go get her autograph. Like,
Kara was like, I stared at her and I will fully admit I got starstruck, and I went, you're so gorgeous. And she went, you're so gorgeous. And I'm like, oh my God, adopt me. So they were just,
that was immediately after, which is why we were still wearing our Skull Rock broadcast shirts.
We were repping,
yeah. And then I had my last autograph with Joe and an autograph with Charlie, which I've already talked about. Yeah, so they were also great, because the volunteers, like I was not I was less stressed on Saturday, I think, because my
Hmm.
schedule was a little bit more packed, but I was just going from one thing to the other, and
Yeah.
I think I actually waited more on Sunday because I didn't have as many things that were
Yeah.
overlapping, so I actually had to kind of wait in the line rather than like going through the line to get to my next thing kind of thing. So,
And it worked out kind of beautifully because after the show, we drove into town, parked, and we walked you to Natalia's meet and
right.
greet. Which boutique was it held at again?
And my last 2 autographs, the volunteers actually started, like, asking people, like, "If you have a meet
Yep.
and greet, come up to the front because we want you to get there on time."
And that's something, guys, you don't typically see in a lot of cons. And at first, your initial reaction is, oh shit, this stuff's overlapping. Oh, as soon as you told any staff member, all of them were so understanding. They would be like, okay, we're giving you first priority.
Yeah,
And you would be able to get your photo off, get your autograph, and still be able to make it to a meet and greet or an event on
yeah.
time. So well organized.
So my, meet and greet with Natalia was supposed to be at Vintage Vineyard in the morning, but when the schedule change happened, I was actually at Belina Jane and Company in the afternoon, so it was really cool to get to go there, and we sat up in this loft. We actually got, like, a $50 gift card to shop, which I did not
That's
have
cool.
time to shop during it because I had to get to the next thing that we'll talk about, but
Yeah.
I just spent it, I think yesterday or today,
Good
online,
girl.
like, because you could use it online too. So, I bought some cool Stranger Things keychains that they had. Yeah, that
What?
they had made just for the weekend, so those are
That's
coming.
awesome.
Yeah. And Cubby from Cubby Collects was at my meet and
Yep.
greet with Natalia. That was another thing that was super cool that we didn't mention. We got to meet so many of our friends that are also in our Stranger Things community on Instagram of
Yeah.
just like content creators and just cool people that enjoy the show. So Cubby's hilarious and he's like huge Nancy Wheeler fan. So
So that must have been
yeah, it
awesome.
was really cool for him, and it was really cool to have, like, a buddy to go to some of these things with because really anytime I was in line, anytime I was at a meet and greet, at our special events, we knew people already. It was like we were just hanging out with all of our friends.
That was the thing, like, you never felt alone because I'd be running into Haley and her boyfriend Steve. I would run into Oscar, like, there were so many people. Hannah, as everybody was just out and about, let it be at the convention or downtown doing meet and greets or visiting the local businesses. So it was just constantly seeing familiar faces, which was just so
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite parts. So
yeah,
yeah, so we got to chat with Natalia for like 45 minutes. She was
that's so
so
cool.
sweet. I did ask her a couple of questions and
Oh,
I know
girl.
I was like so nervous and like blanking at like these meet and
Mhm.
greets of like what I said that I wanted to ask. But I did ask her like how it felt like emotionally to be like wrapping up with like
Yeah.
filming and everything. And she was talking about how it kind of comes in waves. Like for the most part, they're still just kind of going to work every day and they still have a few months left. But like every once in a while, it will kind of like hit them that this is almost over, and she was talking about
Yeah.
how basically it's been, like, her whole 20s has
Yeah.
been this has been her life, and these people are I think all the cast members were just talking about how these people are just their best friends, their
Yeah.
family, their roommates. I mean, in Charlie and Natalia's case, like, they're literally partners, so it it was cool to hear her talk about that and just have confirmation about that. She talked a little bit about Nashville because that's where she's from, I think,
That's cool.
and she was really funny and just, like, such a sweet sense of humor, and, I also asked her because she talked about hanging out with, like, her friends and the other cast members and how they went to, like, a concert together and stuff like that, and I was asking her what other things that they liked to do together, and she was actually telling me, and I feel like I need to look it up now. It's like a board game
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I was like, I never heard of it before.
Blood on the Clock Tower is a board game, and it's kind of like a long form board game that apparently they like to all play together, and sometimes they even play with the Duffer Brothers.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, so the meet and greet was great, and then we got to take a selfie.
That's cool.
Yeah. My selfie with Natalia I thought turned out really cute.
It did.
So while I was at the meet and greet, what were you doing?
So while you were at the meet and greet, I was, going to different shops and stuff, saying hi. I poked my head into Hawkins headquarters real quick. Hannah was doing a tour at the time, but it was so cool to go inside there finally to check it out. But me and Rachel, we went to the Steve Jonathan Fight Alley from season 1, which whoever tuned in for that live that I did on my own social media, I think my exact words were, I probably won't know how to save this. And that's why I don't run the socials on the Skull Rock podcast. And then I forgot to save the live. So if you saw it, that was an exclusive. But at one point, I looked at Rachel and I went, smells like garbage in here. And she goes, it smells like garbage in the alleyway, Stacy. And I went, yeah, like really bad. So that sums up what I was doing. But I'm glad that we were able to make it to Buddy Blues. Is that the name of the ice cream place?
Yep. Which was right next door to Lena Jane and Company. Thank goodness, because you guys got there pretty early and you were right by the door. And we got
ready.
A good seat, man.
Guys, the stars effing aligned. We got in there, and it's not a big venue either. And we got front row. So it was our friend Kat was next to us, and then it was me, then Megan, and then in the next row, it was Andy and Brandy right behind us. But when Joe and Maya finally came out, their stools were, would you say, like less than a foot away from us?
Yeah, like we could have like reached out and touched their knees like the entire time.
We just touched their knees and then we're kicked out. You got really nice knees. But it was so cute because beforehand, all the girls working behind the counter were dressed in Scoop uniforms. And
we got our ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah. We got gelato.
Yes.
And I got strawberry. You got key lime pie.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
It was good, man. And that was the first thing I'd eaten all day because as you could tell, my schedule was a little packed. So there was no time for eating or drinking water, which was actually probably a good thing because I didn't have to pee. But
that's true.
That key lime pie gelato was one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life because it was the first thing I had eaten all day. So, yeah.
Yeah, it looked lovely. I know Andy had butter pecan and Brandy had vanilla. Like I said, I had strawberry, but it was all delicious. And
Joe's agent also had strawberry. So,
great minds alike, dude. Right away, I was like, what's the one thing that won't make a huge stain on me if I, drop it on myself? Which the likelihood was kind of high. After everybody got their ice cream and then ended up getting to throw out their cups, Joe and Maya came out. And it's just so surreal to see Maya Hawk and Joe Keery, a.k.a. Robin Buckley and Steve Harrington, sitting less than a foot away from you. And I can just call her Robin, bless her heart. Maya had her dog with her, Lucky. And Joe shared with us a pretty funny story about that. Huh?
Yeah. So that was the first thing he said. He was like, do you want to hear a funny story? And I've tried to tell this story multiple times since then, and I don't tell it as well as he did.
Butcher it. Yeah.
But apparently Charlie and Natalia have a dog as well, and they were going out of town. So Joe was watching their dog, but Maya's dog was also at their house. So he went over, let the dogs out, put them back, left. Later, he goes back and the back door is like unlocked, and Lucky, Maya's dog, which was a black miniature golden doodle.
Yep.
Sweetest, most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
That was gone. So Joe was obviously freaking out a little bit and called Maya, was like, are you in town? And she's like, no. And so he thought he lost Lucky, Maya's dog. But apparently Charlie and Natalia didn't tell Maya and Maya's roommate, Sadie,
Yep.
that Joe was watching the dogs. So Sadie had gone over to get Lucky, and that's why Lucky was gone. And
But
so,
pure panic, I can only imagine.
yeah, I'm sure that it was a very stressful experience for Joe. But the whole time, Maya was just holding this dog in her arms, and it kept like pawing at Joe and like
How cute.
putting its little chin on Joe Keery's like arm, like.
Which it happened at one point, and he looked at our friend Kat and went, how adorable and sad. And it kept like licking the arm of his leather jacket, but the paw thing, like I heard Megan very softly go, "Aw," because he like looks like he rested his paw on Joe's leg. And it was just so cute. And I have to say, like, it was such a fun time because it was a Q&A, and people were asking some really great questions. And they're absolutely right. Like Maya and Joe, you can just tell what great friends they are in real life, and their chemistry is real. They're like brother and sister, just, going off, like Maya is very well spoken, very intelligent. Joe is very laid back, and he just had these great stories. And it was just really interesting to hear some of their answers. They talked about being musicians and, like their dream spinoff for Robin and Steve. They were just so funny. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm asking a
Yeah,
question.
she asked the fucking question, you guys,
I asked the question
that you were not
as
supposed to ask.
I was like, well, this is my revenge from earlier. So literally, as soon as I went, would you rather, I saw Megan's soul leave her body, and I heard Brady go, oh God. And I asked, would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or a dozen duck-sized horses?
They loved it. They loved it.
Loved it. It could have gone either way too. So I'm really glad they loved it because they both looked at each other really excited, and they were like, we were just talking about this, something similar. Because right away I was like, wait, what? And then they first answered they would fight the dozen duck-sized horses because they were like, geese can be really mean and that bill can be sharp. So kind of went with consensus of that. But then Joe Keery looks at me and goes,
he asks her a question back.
yeah.
So
the fuck?
He asked Stacy if she would rather fight 3-foot Vin Diesels or one 10-foot Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I might have gotten that backwards.
No, you basically got it.
Okay.
It was one or the other. And I was like, I'm going to have to go with the 3-footers. And they were like, 3-footers. Okay, Vin Diesel. So, of course, my soul left my fucking body because I was like, look at that.
I know. So, I was so impressed. I was so impressed with you because they totally matched your energy. They were like right on your wavelength with that. Like, you were the only one who got a question back. Like, they asked you a question.
Yeah. They were like, that girl with the red bandana, we like that energy.
Yeah, but Maya did also call you out.
She did.
She was like literally like we were right in front of them the whole time. So obviously she was like looking at us. And she goes, do you have his face on your body multiple times?
Fucking died. Literally, because my arms are crossed. I'm in short sleeves. And I see Maya looking down at my arms. And I'm just like, nope. And as soon as she said that, Joe then looks down. And was he the one or was Maya the one that went, oh my God, she's got Joe Quinn too?
Yeah, I think she said it. And and she was like, and Joe Quinn.
Multiple times. And they were like, how many times do you have Joe Quinn? And I was like, maybe 4. And I'm like, but you're still my favorite, Joe. And I think they asked how many Joe tattoos I had. And I lied, guys. I said 2. I totally have 3. But yeah, right away I was like, well, look at who's wearing her princess tiara, because Joe Keery and my hawk just fucking loved me.
Yeah,
so
they loved your tattoos. They were talking about Joseph Quinn like multiple times throughout the interview because they also had posters on the wall
that killed me.
Joseph Quinn.
Keery's in the middle of talking, and then he goes, oh shit, look, there's like Joe Quinn. There's photos of him everywhere. It was really
He's like
cool.
so like the same as us. Like
Yeah, like, oh, a squirrel, like that kind of energy.
yeah.
Our friend Brandy asked about who was my favorite author. I wish to God I could remember.
Yeah, she actually talked about a bunch of authors. She talked about Madeline L'Engle, who did A Wrinkle in Time. She talked about Flannery O'Connor, which she actually just made that movie Wildcat about.
Oh yeah, yep.
She talked about a few more, but she was actually talking about A Wrinkle in Time and like the connections to Stranger Things, which is something that we've talked to Brandy about on the podcast. So
hmm I will say, actually, Maya did ask Brandy who was her favorite
oh
author,
yeah.
and she look at our group being the ones that got questions, and Brandy said Anne Rice, which I fucking died because Joe just whispers, I have no idea who that is. But he mentioned something like, I forget what was the name of his author, but it's like,
Oh, yeah, I can't say it, but it's like a Eastern philosophy. I know who it is. I've read
mhm,
their books before. Here, let me look up how to pronounce it. He's a Buddhist monk, Vietnamese, Thich Nhat Hanh, maybe. That's
that
my
sounds about
that's
right.
my attempt. So yeah, I've totally read that before. I love it. Like, so I was all about that when he said that too.
Yeah, I found that interesting because he said it kind of got into reading them while filming Fargo.
Mhm.
You know, he mentioned his acting in Fargo, kind of gave a huge spoiler away, which I love. He was talking about that. But then you got a chance to actually bring up the whole New York Film Festival, which was
Yeah.
cool.
It was kind of awkward, I thought a little bit because I like was basically like having a conversation with him that nobody else knew anything about. So at one point he was like, "So for everybody else, like but I told him that I got to go see Pavements at the New York Film Festival and that we all missed him because he was supposed to be there. So I said like that Alex, the person who made the movie, got up on stage and basically the first thing he said was, "Oh, the hurricane took Joe Keery away from us, but he's okay." And it Maya and Joe actually both laughed because I guess they both know him. So Maya was like, "That sounds like something Alex would say," which that was kind of funny. And then I told him that his character or the his parts in the movie kind of got the biggest laughs out of the
Yeah.
audience. So I thought that was kind of cool to get to tell him that. And then I sort of asked him how it was to film that. And he was like, well, honestly, it was a little stressful because he was playing this kind of like iconic musician from this very like not super popular, but very well loved
Yeah.
band that he didn't really know very well, and it was a lot of pressure, and it was also supposed to be kind of, like, funny, but, like,
A
it
satire almost.
yes, and they were asking if, like, the little reference to Stranger Things, like, made it in, and I was like, "Yeah," and yeah, so, like, me, Joe, and Maya were just basically having a conversation
Just shooting the
for a
shit, you know?
few minutes about that, which was kind of funny, but yeah, he said it was a little confusing, which when you see the movie, you will totally understand that reference, like
Yeah.
but I mean, it was kinda cool, like, I feel like maybe I didn't choose the best time to talk to him about that because it was like nobody else knew what we were talking about, but also, like
It's nice that he was, though, asked about something besides Stranger Things
yeah,
because I noticed, like, they loved answering any question about the show, but it seemed like, it was something a little outside of the box, much like, when he was talking about Fargo, when
yeah,
Maya was talking about her music. It was really, really cool.
and I do feel like maybe everybody's minds were, like, so on Stranger Things because that's where we were,
Yeah.
and maybe at his meet and greets, more people asked about the music, but I was thinking after the fact that we didn't really ask him much about his music at that
Yeah.
event. But I think it was just, like, the nature of, like, everybody's minds were on Stranger Things.
Yeah, and people asked some really great questions. It was just really cool that someone was like, you two are musicians and kind of like picks their brain about their creative process. And they're like, yeah, it's a little easier to be able to do a project like this while still working on your music. And it was just so realistic too, whenever they were talking about like how they memorize their lines and stuff, and how they feel like they're not really acting until they get the lines down pat, and how there's always a little bit of anxiety before an opening show. Somebody asked if he would ever like go back into theater, because that's kind of how he came to be with the whole acting scene, and if he would ever want to do Broadway with, a fellow castmate. And he was like, how good would Gaten and I be in Mice and Men? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I liked how they both were super open just about, he was talking about like ADHD and how
Yep.
when he needs to be memorizing lines, that's when he can like write his best songs. And when he
Hmm.
needs to be writing songs, that's when he can go memorize his lines. And I was like, that's so relatable. And
Yep.
then she was also talking about like having some anxiety, but not quite as much as one might think with like the roles that she's played as like
Yeah.
Robin and obviously anxiety. But she's like talking about how she does relate to those characters and their anxieties. So yeah, it was just kind of, I mean, we got pretty deep. Like,
We did. Like at one point, somebody was like, what would you do if you weren't an actor? And both looked at each other. And Maya was like a teacher. And Joe was like, certain family members of his are teachers. And he was like, yeah, teacher. You and I just smiled. We were like, oh, look at that. And it was
yeah, we
just
were like,
really sweet.
don't do it.
It's underpaid. But it was just really, really nice. Like you didn't feel like you were with these celebrities, because I don't think they view themselves as celebrities. They was just two buddies basically shooting the breeze with, people that I don't even think they were looking at as fans, just people that really appreciate their work. And they seemed really touched that they had the turnout that they did. And we were able to take a really cute group photo. I immediately was like, I am Maya side, because I was just like, she knows my tattoos. I love her. But it came out wicked
Yeah,
cute.
it was funny because I thought you were going to come next to me in the middle with Maya. So I was like leaving a little bit of a space. And
Now that
then,
I'm looking up at it, I'm like, yeah.
yeah. And then Brandy was coming on Joe's other side and she kind of like tripped a little bit, but then he kind of like squeezed both of us in, which was like fantastic. But then so then it's like I'm actually in between Joe and Maya, and then you're
It
on
looks
Maya's
like
other side, and
they're
Andy.
coming to meet you.
Yeah, yeah, it was really fun, and just the whole experience was, like you said, it just felt like we were just hanging out, and there's like things I wish that I could have asked, but also I didn't want to be rude and like ask more
Mm.
than one question because I feel like everybody was being very polite and trying to get everybody a chance to ask questions. And also, like you said, everybody who asked questions asked really great
Really great
questions.
ones.
It was so cool because we knew from what Alexis told us that Maya wanted to do that event with Joe.
Yep.
And I couldn't have even imagined it with just him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it would have been great, but like, it was so good to have them both there.
Yeah,
And
we got a double meet and greet
yeah,
basically, and it was just they're my favorite characters, besides JQ as Eddie, but they're my favorite characters, and just they're the ultimate comfort characters, and just to know that they seem like really cool, laid back people in real life, and the fact that both of them really worked closely with Alexis and the Epic team, wanting to make this experience so they could have that kind of intimate setting with their fans. I gotta tell you, like, there were a few times that not to sound cheesy, I was like, wow, this
yeah.
is this is happening. We in this. So
It was
woo.
so intimate. It was such an intimate experience that, like, was worth every single penny that we
Oh yeah.
paid and more.
And we got ice cream scoopers.
Yeah, we got a totally cool souvenir ice cream scoop that I literally have yours at my house because you were refusing to take it on the plane with you,
I was
so
like, TSA is gonna catch me. And you're like, people are literally flying home with bricks, Stacy. And I'm like, I can't have it taken away from me. So I was like, can you
yeah.
mail it to
Yeah,
me?
I have to, like, take off work to go to the post office, I think, because like, I never have time to go to the post office, and I have to mail the giveaway stuff too, so I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Congratulations, one.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to stop it here for tonight. It's a kind of a good stopping point
Yeah.
because when we pick back up, we can talk about the rest of Saturday night. We can talk
Yes.
about Sunday and the rest of the trip. But I think getting to this ice cream social, that was kind of like the climax of the trip, I would
That
say.
was the cherry on the sundae. We can't wait to talk about Sunday, but the lead up was that. And if anybody asked me, like, what was like, obviously meeting all of you guys, seeing friends, visiting the town, the autographs, the photo ops, all of it was great. But that ice cream social, like, that's one of those like American Beauty freaking memories. That's just before your eyes when you die. I'm gonna see in black and white me asking that fucking duck question to those two. And it's gonna be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that ice cream social, which I gotta hand it to the Epic crew. Like, thank you guys. Thank you.
And we'll talk more about the ice cream social because we're going to chat with some other people that were there. So
Yep.
Brandy is going to come on and talk to us. Emma was at the ice cream social.
Yep.
Kat was at the ice cream social and she's excited to come chat with us. So we're going to talk more about this trip. There's so much more to tell. And so I'm just so excited to continue chatting about it with people and hear other people's experiences. And it was just amazing, and I could just relive it for the rest of my life and be happy.
We're gonna go ride some horse-sized ducks now, guys.
Duck-sized horses. All right. Well, I think that's it for tonight, and we will check back in with you soon.
Yeah. All right, guys. Over and out.
Over and out.